We still have Oliver Sloup from Blue Line Futures with us. Oliver, he bailed us out of the last segment when I couldn't get this computer to work, but now he's here to help bail us out of this segment. Oliver, what do you think of here in these proteins? What sticks out at you, and what kind of is interesting to your customers?
Well, it's the same kind of theme as we talked about in the grains. It's been a relatively quiet session compared to the volatility that we've seen as of late, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue, especially for the live cattle market. I think we're just kind of a stick in the mud here around 120 to 123 for that August contract, unless we get a new fundamental change, which would likely be coming from the cash side. And I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. So I think a stick in the mud for the live cattle is what we're looking at here in the near term. Now, feeder cattle, a little bit more optimistic. Now, going back to the grain segment, we had talked about maybe leaning a little bit more towards the sell side on corn as we look to fill that gap. If corn does retrace and pull back a little bit, that would probably put a tailwind in the feeder cattle market. So if we can hold the bottom end of the recent range for October feeders, which comes in 156, 157, I think there's a good risk-reward trade. And if corn comes off, I think we could make a push towards the top end of the recent range. Comes in a little closer towards that 160 level.
Right, and you know, just to go back to that previous segment, we got to talking about yields and technology and what this ultimate crop might be. And I think it's interesting. I say, you know, year after year for 34 years, I've really discounted how technology has made such a big difference in these hybrids. And it just seems like I always get excited, or at least get worried about the yield being very, very low. And lo and behold, we can grow these things on a hot sidewalk or in a glass of water. And, you know, and you brought up inflation during the break too. And it just seems to me sometimes, right, that the more that we can get out of an acre, it's almost like an inflation killer, right? Because the price of corn doesn't go up per acre because of all the things that we've kind of put in these hybrids. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Inflation's been a huge buzzword throughout really the first half of this year, and I think it's going to continue to be that buzzword. But I think it's starting to dwindle out, and I wouldn't be surprised to see deflationary tendencies come back into the market. And if that happens, we could see commodities retreat and revert back to the mean a little bit, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we're thinking that corn could come back as well, especially if the dollar continues to grind a little bit higher. Yesterday's PPI number, I think, corresponded perfectly with a lot of commodities out there.
I can 100% back you up on what you just said there, too, because, you know, look what happened to lumber, right? I mean, look what's the cracks are starting to show in crude oil a little bit. So we've got a few of these things that kind of really took off in the first couple, 3 months of the year that are now slowly but surely coming back down, or at least showing some weakness. And I think you're exactly right there. Well, Oliver, thank you very much for bailing us out. That's Oliver Sloup with Blue Line Futures. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you soon. Now I'm going to hand it over to John.